Nearly all applicants for a training contract or vacation placement will need to do a verbal reasoning test. It's very easy to become good at them, and it's well worth investing your time in this important skill. Legal Recruit is designed for busy law students anywhere in the world who have access to a fast internet connection and who want to shine at online testing for law firm applications. The ability to reason with information presented in a verbal format is also essential to your success as a trainee. Make sure you know what's involved by contacting the Careers Unit and even the Learning Support Officer as early on as possible during the assessment period. Here's what you'll see if you do the Legal Recruit verbal reasoning test. You'll also find on this website books to help, as well as free fact sheets. Carefully designed so that you can achieve a realistic test experience, the aim of this initiative is to help you understand the assessment process so that you can shine at it. It's important that you find out the exact format of the verbal reasoning test you'll be doing and study carefully their practice materials. Lots of employers use SJTs during their recruitment stage, particularly at graduate level. SJTs measure your behaviour and attitudes to work-related scenarios. These tests might present candidates with a range of different situations that they could experience in the job that they're applying for. Law firms don't just want to attract more graduates, they want to attract the right graduates. Equally importantly, the scenarios give you an insight into the types of challenge you'll face in the constantly changing environment of international corporate law. Most employers use an online form of the verbal reasoning test now. This works very well for the pre-selection stage, after the initial application form but before the assessment centre stage. Candidates are asked to log into an online testing environment and sit an unsupervised test via a computer. For the employer, the online verbal reasoning assessment procedure saves time and cost, as lots of candidates can quickly be assessed this way en masse. For the candidate, it means you don't have to travel, and it's hoped that you're more likely to feel relaxed and comfortable taking the test. It's perfectly possible for you to train to become good at these tests. If the employer likes your application and you score well in your online test, they may or may not invite you for an interview and another test, but this time supervised. For online verbal reasoning tests, it's even more important to practice, since this will allow you to become familiar with the test interface and test style. If you're familiar with the type of test you have to face, you're more likely to perform at your best and maximise your chances of success. It's now considered too, apparently from a vast body of research, that one of the critical determinants of success is the extent to which you're expecting to do well. In this Legal Recruit verbal reasoning test, you're provided with a passage of information and required to evaluate a set of statements by selecting one of the following possible answers. A. True. The statement follows logically from the information or opinions contained in the passage. B. False. The statement is logically false from the information or opinions contained in the passage. C. Cannot say. Cannot determine whether the statement is true or false without further information. Take, for example, this passage. Over 60 years ago, evolutionary biologist Bernard Rensch calculated that males are typically the larger sex in big-bodied species, such as humans, whereas females outdo them in small-bodied species, such as spiders. Now it turns out that many plants obey Rensch's rule too. Most plants produce both male and female sex organs, but around 7% are dioecious, meaning individuals are purely male or female. Recent results provide that female stems also must be large enough to display the fruit and support the animals that spread the pollen or seeds. If metabolism, predators, or climate promote the evolution of smaller plants, however, males can shrink because their gametes are smaller. The statement you're asked to judge might be this. Over 80 years ago, Bernard Rensch calculated that males are typically the larger sex in big-bodied species. The answer is cannot say. The passage says that Bernard Rensch calculated this over 60 years ago, but it is not possible to say from the passage whether he calculated this over 80 years ago. Verbal reasoning tests are designed to test your powers of comprehension and logic. You'll be tested on whether you jump to conclusions or you appreciate the limitations of a statement. If a passage says it has been reported, it does not follow that the fact is necessarily true, only that it has been reported. You can therefore see why lawyers almost always have to pass a verbal reasoning test. Through practice, you'll develop your own technique for answering verbal reasoning questions to the best of your ability. However, for most people, the best way to approach them is to read the entire passage through once, then turn to the questions. Read the first statement and refer back to the relevant part of the passage to carefully consider if the statement is true, false, or impossible to determine without further information. It will often come down to just 1 or 2 sentences within the passage. We hope you've enjoyed this brief Legal Recruit presentation. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email us at inquiries@legal-recruit.org. To repeat, that's inquiries